Hello, everyone. Yeah, welcome back to What I Should Show. I am your host. I am currently wondering when I'm gonna stop saying that. I am kind of intrigued by how Rogan just casually rolls into his conversations. However, I realize that I am not having conversations with anybody else but myself, so I have to figure out how to start these podcasts. I'm only new, and we're gonna do a little velo, which are actually pretty strong, to speed up the connections and protect my brain as we're doing this podcast because we don't want to get too tired of talking sense. And today I have a few things I want to talk about. I made myself a little list on the board so I don't miss anything. Um, Also, I am trying to be like John Danaher, best jiu-jitsu coach of all time, because I will go into why I am wearing a rash guard today. And it might just be because I am trying to signal that I am experienced in some martial arts. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's something else. I will let you figure that out. But yeah, already starting off silly. Super. So I want to talk about stories and attention and kind of where we are at the moment and who runs this shit. Because that's the question I've been asking myself on my journeys recently. And I want to go into like the people that rule the world are literally the best storytellers. And you have to realize that you live in an attention economy and nothing catches everybody's attention like a good story. And if you see who's the best shit, I mean the best storytellers of all time, you have to give it up to religion because it's an amazing story and it's very refined and it's thousands of years old and it's still here and people still believe it and people like my granddad still go to church every Sunday and they're still shit people, but they walk around at least believing in something because belief is huge. Thinking is great, but belief is huge. People love to believe in things, and that you just have to give them a good reason why to believe in things. And here is where religion comes in. And if when with my very unsophisticated brain, when I start thinking about how it could have started, it was very simple. Somebody, and I'm not sure about the first one, let's say, but somebody was traveling the world or been to one place and another, and then they noticed there was some guy that told a very specific story to people, and everybody listened and everybody believed him. And so, and maybe after a while they stopped believing him, and he talked about the things that made people stop believing, and you refined it, and it was just kept being tried until eventually they came up with this very solid book and list of rules and a way to capture the attention of people into and then a way to make them believe. Because here's the thing, if somebody just tells you a bunch of rules they made up, then they're like, hey, why am I trying to follow your rules? Your rules are just your rules. You're a human being, I'm a human being. If you make up some rules, then I can make up some rules, and then nobody wants to follow your rules. So you need to appeal to the higher morals, you know. You need to give them a good reason why they should believe in everything you're saying. And let's say it's because you went up onto a hill and you told them, and you got a message from this thing called God, or this person, this old man in the sky called God, and he told you when nobody could see exactly what to do, or else you will go to an eternal place where you suffer forever. That's, and you know, and then they tell you all these rules that you have to follow, and they give you a very extended list that you should follow, that the people in power don't necessarily follow, or at least they make it seem like they follow, but they don't. You know, they break all the rules. And even if you hear about it, you continue going to church. Because back in the day, the information, I'm reading a book currently about information. It's called Nexus. And information back in the day, it used to spread, but it didn't spread the same way it does now. Nowadays, it's easier to spread bullshit, but it's also easier to get caught spreading bullshit. You know, somebody can check the facts. There's people that will go out of their way journalists of sort that will go and out of their way to find out if you're lying. And if you are, they will catch you on that. And then you will need another better bullshit story to get yourself out of that. And if you can do that, then and use it to your advantage, then you can win. But most people lose with these kinds of things. That's why they say that every religion is a cult. Every cult is a failed religion, but every successful religion is a cult, essentially. So religion is like one example of the most beautiful story because the best story shifts the culture. It shifts the culture. And here's another example. COVID. A simple flu, let's say. You can if that the only reason people will ever give up their freedom is for safety. If me and you are even in the Stone Age, if me and you are in a cave and you're a woman and I'm after you, but you're not really interested in me, like the only reason, let's say you had a guy, but you went into a cave and he was with me carrying food and I just killed him outside of that cave. And then I went back in, and then she was like, "Where is he?" And I said, "There is a tiger outside the cave, and we have to stay here because if you even come close outside the cave, he's gonna smell you and he's gonna kill you, just like he killed your husband." And then I spend some time with you, and I tell you all the things you want to hear, and I make you believe that your husband is now gone or your partner is now gone, and I'm the only guy left, and you still haven't reproduced, and I am very convincing, and my riz is on point. You're mine, basically. So you only give up your freedom for safety. And then there's other types of stories. Let's say who has gone the most viral recently that people still talk about. And that would be Tate. Look what Tate did. Absolute mastermind of a guy, if you think about it from a story perspective. He goes and he says he catches the best story ever told, something like, or the best, he goes into the movie Matrix, and then he finds a lot of relatable human elements, and he's able to compare the Matrix, the idea of enslavement and things like that, harvesting energy and essentially being a slave to you, and then you ask yourself, why is he telling you all this? Oh, it's because he wants to open your eyes. But then you realize that just like the Bible, when they told you you're gonna go to hell forever because God said so, but unless you follow this story, I have a solution. So um, the saying goes, you give them the you give them the poison for free and then you sell them the cure. And that's exactly what Tay did in a way, because he told you a story of how you're essentially as enslaved, and then he provides you with a solution, which is where he brands his course about things. And I love Tate, and it's great. And you can't like there's supposedly a lot of people that went on to like I tried that course twice and didn't work for me. I started copywriting right before ChatGPT came out, and then I just gave up on the whole idea of copywriting, even though ChatGPT could have probably helped me. But about that, he gives you the solution. He gives you these 18 new or n- new money creating methods, and he tells you that it only costs £50, and you're gonna get high. You're gonna get a bag of weed and a pizza for £50, but you are not willing to like get rid of the chains on your body and like actually be free, and have geographical freedom and work remotely and all these kind of things. So that's what they do. They give you the poison for free and then they sell you the cure. And then there's other stories in this attention economy, and you have to look at brands. And this is related to everything we do all the time because it has to do with signaling. Like the only reason you buy, let's say I'm from Poland and I love Lewandowski and I want to be associated with Lewandowski. So I look at what shoes, let's say I play soccer, which I don't. Let's say I go into a shop and I get his shoes. So now when I go in the field with my boys, I am associated with Lewandowski because he's awesome and he's the best. So I am associated with the best because I'm wearing his shoes. The same way Nike does it. They sponsor all the best athletes. Everybody wants to be sponsored by Nike because Nike sponsor the best athletes and the wheel just keeps moving. And what happens is Nike's then associated with the best brands are associated, or the best people are associated with Nike, and the brand continues to grow. And let's say they sponsor somebody, like John Jones, and then John Jones does what he does best and misbehaves, let's say, and then they cut him because they do not want to be associated with him because there's going to be a mother of some kid that's going to see that story online about him misbehaving, and she's going to associate Nike as a brand that sponsors somebody that's doesn't do something that she agrees with. So they have to cut him and look moral in the eyes of the people. So that's how you lose sponsorships. Where in reality, they quit your sponsorship and they say, "Sorry, bro, like we're just gonna wait for this stuff to pass and then we're gonna get you back on. But like right now, we cannot be associated with you. I hope you understand." And that's how it works. Ah, it's a beautiful design, really, if you think about it. Um, okay, that was a huge tangent. I don't know how long did that go for? Yeah, so we're on 10 minutes already. Let's go into my second point, which was how beautifully everything is designed. Because if you look at nature and look at us, it's a very like it's the most perfectly masterfully designed system of collaboration and competition. And they're both super essential in nature and in our lives because competition is what makes you grow. You want to outcompete other people so you look better than them, and then you have access to all the things that you get access to when you get better than most people, females, money, etc., etc. And then you have collaboration because competition makes you grow, but collaboration makes you survive. And collaboration is really the way to go on if you want to go. Like you cannot, as many things as you can do nowadays, just with AI, you can essentially have a $1 billion company with few people just rolling the place. Like collaboration is the way to go. You can talk shit about other people on social media, let's say, and then they will respond to you, and then their audience notices you, and you get their audience by extension. Or you can collaborate with them, which is what you see on most podcasts and things like that. They start talking to people, then they get associated with those people, and everybody wins. Okay, so that was that. Um, my next point was about just to go back to the meaning of life. Not the meaning of life, but just how lucky we all really are to be here. Did you know that the odds of being a human being are 1 in 400 trillion? Which is basically impossible. Like, it's literally impossible to be a human being. And another point that I want to go into is that 90% of all organisms that have ever crawled or walked or slittered across this planet and this universe that we know at least have died without the ability to pass on their genes. And you and me and everybody you know are among the 10% of the people in the lineage where everybody managed to do that. Like you are here because your parents had kids, and they're here because your grandparent had kids, and it traces back all the way back to infinity, essentially, all the way back in evolution through monkeys and chimps and fish and lizards, and all the way back to like some little small cell that when they figured it out and multiplied. So yeah, we're all extremely lucky to be here, and if even if you're consider yourself to be super unlucky, you let's say your girlfriend broke up with you, you got in trouble, you lost your job, you get deported from Vietnam, you are still extremely lucky to be unlucky in today's society. Like we're essentially living like kings. It's amazing. Like yeah, super lucky to be here and super cheered about that. So yeah. And if you are in a shitty situation, then I want to mention this thing called the region beta paradox or region beta paradox, which is that sometimes things would be better if they were worse. And so here's the example. So the paradox goes that if you had to go 1 mile, you would walk it, but if you had to go 2 miles, you would drive it. So what that really means is that you would go 2 miles faster. You would get from A to B 2 miles faster than you would if you only had to go a mile. And you can see that a lot, especially in relationships. Like you can be in a bad relationship, but it's not bad enough to do something about it. So you stay in that relationship and you stay and you stay. But you would literally be better if things got worse. So if you're a girl and the guy's shit or whatever and you don't get along, like you will still continue to be in that relationship. But if he hits you and things get worse, then you break up with him and you actually find somebody that treats you the way you want to be treated. So things would be better if they were worse. Remember that. Yeah. The next point I have is why I started podcasting and podcasting. And the reason I started podcasting is because everyone is essentially a walk-in living podcast anyway. Because this thing right here that we all hold dear, and it's essentially an extension of ourselves, is recording and videoing you all the time. And the people that are in charge, let's say, of all the information, they already have that information, and you agreed for them to have that by not reading the terms and conditions like everybody else. So you're essentially already a walking podcast. You might as well get something from it. And the reason why I also do it is because I want to learn to talk better. I'm gonna listen back to my podcast. I'm gonna see how I can articulate things better, where I can branch off better, where I can put a pause or like I'm still not where I want to be in that sense. And also because you have to realize that the more people you bump into, the more people like yourself you're going to find. And being so disconnected in real life, not myself, because I get to talk to a lot of people every single day by working the bar on the busiest street in the fucking world. But most people are really disconnected and they don't find those people. So one way to find those people is to broadcast yourself. Essentially, just be yourself on camera and talk to yourself in an empty room with a goal to connect with people, like-minded people that want to listen to you and find your community, and add some value, all the good stuff. So I think a podcast is the way to go. I think everybody's going to have a podcast. Everybody's already a walking podcast, and you should probably think about that. You should probably wait some time to get some life experience and actually have something worthy to talk about. Be a curious person, go outside and outside your way to figure out why things are the way they are and things like that. So that's why I do podcasting. Oh, and then I have a story about the fixed mindset. Everybody already knows what the growth mindset is and the fixed mindset, but I used to think everybody knows until I realized that not everybody knows because I used to live with this guy for 10 months. They used to be a schizophrenic. At least he didn't believe it was a schizophrenic. He thought he had magical powers, but that's a different story for another day about that. It's pretty funny. But he was essentially in a very shit relationship. He couldn't see his girlfriend, and they would get into fights, and then they would make up, and he would send her money, and the moment he sent her money, she would break up with him again, and whatever. And they had this ongoing thing the whole time. And one time, actually, he told me that she told him everything that he should do in order to fix himself so that she can actually want to be with him long term. And what she told him is that you have to, go outside and learn some shit and like stop being so violent and like actually like get smarter. And he's like, I'm 30 years old. What am I supposed to do? Like read books and improve myself? I was like, yeah, obviously. Like some people still don't know. There's people like that walking by you on the street that don't know. And you assume that people know things because you know things. But then let's say I was another tangent here. I was at the gym and there was a 50-year-old guy at the gym doing like a row. And then he says to me, "Oh, that's good for your chest, isn't it? Because you can feel his chest moving." And I'm like, "No." So you assume just because you know things that other people know things, which is a funny thing that happens. Yeah, so that's all about that. And then my recent post on Facebook. On Facebook is where I post a lot of my things, my personal Facebook, so I'm not gonna give that away here. But I realized I see idiocracy is coming back and everybody's like, oh, look, they were right. Dumb people are having all the kids and the intelligent people are waiting too long and then they're waiting too long and they can't have kids. And the world is, going to be run by dumb people and we're all fucking doomed. And I don't agree with that. The reason I don't agree with that because I think most people don't have great parents. And that's a good thing sometimes because you, by having bad parents, want to be a better person. There's a lot of people with bad parenting that came out of really bad situations, way worse than us, that have came out to be amazing people. So that's one part of it. But the second part is that the intelligent people might not be having kids, but that's because they are busy making cool shit that makes you smarter. And we are all smarter by extension of them making things that make us smarter. So even right now, like we have the answer to every single question we could possibly answer, want to have to. And even though we have answers to all the questions, we only search the things that we already believe in and that strengthen our beliefs so that we can be on this side that's right and not on the other side that's wrong. But the more sophisticated way to do it that I haven't been doing for very long, but I've started definitely doing is that when somebody tells me that something is absolute truth, the first thing I do is think how I can prove them wrong. And I start looking not only into the people that are watching and what they're saying, but I start to look at the other side of the argument. I look for people debunking those people and like trying to see how full of shit they are. So, okay, there might be some things that they say they're absolutely correct, but then there's this other side that some people, not me yet, go outside their way to prove that they're wrong. And that's the thing, because we have to realize that the best lies are those told with a little bit of truth. And that's a really powerful statement because that's how you get a good story going. That's what Tay did in a way, if you think about it. He started off really controversial, got everybody's attention, and then he mixed in the good content with actual value. And though that's how people started watching him. Like one story about what he did with like he used to be selling this PhD course, which was a pimping host degree course, and it was essentially like dating advice. And he realized like who doesn't get dates? Nerds. What do nerds like? Star Wars. So he posts this whole thing on Twitter about how stupid people who watch Star Wars are. And then all these nerds, surely, are on Twitter and they come along and they comment. And some of them are really curious people, obviously, because they're into sci-fi and things. So they're curious. They're like, who is this fucking guy? And so they search and then they realize that he has a pimping host degree and he gets women because his whole image online looks like he gets women and he supposedly does. And then they're like, oh, maybe I can learn something from him, even though I don't like what he said about this. That's the message there also. Just because somebody said something wrong doesn't mean that every single thing they said is wrong. But you have to go out of your way to see what's right and what's wrong for you. So yeah, you have to be clever about catching the attention in the right places and then selling your product. That's what we do. You only get attention to monetize it. That's what happens. And the last thing I want to go into is how to save the world. So let's say the world is broken, even though I think it's pretty amazing. I have go out of my way to figure out a solution of how to fix the world. And it's fairly simple. And I started doing this to me and other people. And essentially, what I think we have to do is expose the lies that we are being told, and so you have to make people realize about what's wrong, and then you have to empower them to actually do something about it. And the simplest way I could figure this out was to get everybody on testosterone and mushrooms. Mushrooms to expand the mind and testosterone to expand the biceps to actually go out and do something about it. And I think I'm gonna wrap it out on this one. Right. Thank you for watching. What a shit show, and I will see you in the next episode, guys. So, bye bye.